Something's brewing in Seattle, and I'm not talking about coffee. In just a few weeks, we've seen a rookie leave his college rivals absolutely speechless, a fifth-round pick threatening to become an immediate starter, and heavy rumors that one of our offensive stars could be on his way out. All of this while the defense is loading up to just suffocate anyone who steps foot on Lumen Field. This ain't your average preseason, man. This is the script for a massive turnaround. And if you think you've got the game plan figured out, just wait till you hear what's really going on behind the scenes. All right, what's up, my fellow Seahawks fans? Before we dive into all the latest with our squad this Friday, I gotta ask you for a favor. If you, the one who watches the Seahawks Insider Report and digs our breakdowns, haven't subscribed yet, please just click that button. It is absolutely critical for the channel and for helping our community of 12s keep on growing. Seriously, thank you for the support. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this kind of jump coming this fast, but the 2025 Seattle Seahawks defense looks ready to enter the conversation for the most feared in the entire NFL. And that's not an exaggeration. Under Mike Macdonald, the scheme has found this rare balance, like surgical aggression in the pass rush and disciplined, smart coverage on the back end. We already saw flashes of this identity last year with Leonard Williams, Derek Hall, and Boy Mayfair racking up 25 sacks. Now, add a name that completely changes the game on the D-line. DeMarcus Lawrence, a four-time Pro Bowler and an absolute brick wall against the run and the pass. Hall, especially, is the poster child for growth. In 2024, he was all raw power. Now, with confidence and a refined football IQ, he's become so much more lethal, so much more precise. He talks about consistency and dominance being his pillars, and when a young defender starts talking like that, you know the locker room has completely bought into the philosophy. Macdonald and his coordinator, Aiden Durd, are molding a unit that doesn't just pressure the QB, it dictates the entire pace of the game. And you still have the insane young talent of Byron Murphy, who could form one of the league's strongest trench duos with Lawrence. But the cherry on top might just come from the draft. Nick Emenwari, a versatile safety who can line up in the slot, in the box, or drop back deep. People are comparing him to Kyle Hamilton, and his development could give the Seahawks a truly suffocating secondary with Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon, and Rick Woolen, all guys who've already been to the Pro Bowl. It's a roster that has the potential, just the potential, to remind you of the early days of the Legion of Boom, not by trying to be them, but by creating a whole new brand of psychological terror for offenses. The ultimate test? Week 1, right out of the gate, against Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. That's the kind of trial by fire that will either validate all this hype or expose exactly what needs to be fixed, fast. Hall, in an interview, even made a point to shout out the international fans, showing that this emotional connection is part of this group's DNA. For a long-time fan, man, seeing a defense with this kind of hunger brings back memories of an era when stopping offenses was a damn art form in Seattle. Except, this time, the flavor is different. More rotation, more versatility, and less dependency on just one core group. The question is, when this defense faces a mobile, unpredictable offense, how will it hold up? And speaking of unpredictable offenses, our next topic is gonna mess with your head. A rookie quarterback who, in his very first game, made veterans and rivals admit something rare, that we might be looking at a weapon that changes the entire offensive chessboard for the Seahawks. When a historic college football rival admits he's impressed by a former enemy, you know something special just happened, and that's exactly what we saw with Jalen Milroe. The rookie QB made his preseason debut against the Las Vegas Raiders and did the unthinkable. He even won over Nehemiah Pritchett, who battled him in the brutal Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama. On the field, Milroe showed a type of mobility that we just haven't seen from a Seahawks QB in a long time, running for 38 yards on 3 carries and almost breaking another 11-yarder if it wasn't for a flag. But it wasn't just his legs, man. He started his NFL career completing 5 of 6 passes with quick reads and mature decision-making for a guy who had zero game planning against that specific defense. The highlight? a dime across the field to Tyrone Broden, just ripping the defense apart and setting up a Jacardia Wright touchdown on the ground. Drew Lock, the vet, didn't hold back his praise, pointing out the rookie's insane speed, for real fast, like legit fast, and more importantly, his ability to make smart decisions in the high-pressure chaos of the fourth quarter. McDonald loved what he saw too, mentioning his accuracy and safe choices on complex reads. Of course, it wasn't all perfect. There was a blown fourth down play with an incomplete pass to tight end Marshall Lang and a sack on the final drive that just can't happen. But even in those mistakes, you could see the coaching staff's trust, letting him run the show in critical moments. What's so intriguing is the idea of a special package for Milroe right from the jump in the regular season, especially in Week 1 against the 49ers, forcing defenses to prepare for two completely different offensive identities, Sam Darnold's and the rookie's. And this isn't just about tactics, it's about culture. Seeing a kid come in and, in his very first game, get the whole bench fired up, with starters running onto the field and accepting the penalties as just the cost of doing business, that shows you this locker room is breathing a different air, a mix of fun and fierce competition. For a die-hard fan, it's impossible not to think of other rookies who brought that instant energy, but with a twist. Milroe is a true dual threat. A guy who can burn you with his arm and his legs at a high level, something Seattle has rarely had deep on the roster. If the defense we just talked about is already promising to choke out opponents, imagine the impact of an offense that can change its whole style at any given moment. But is this youth movement on offense just about a quarterback? The answer might be in the next name, a guy who, despite being a late-round pick, is making analysts and opponents think Seattle might have just found another hidden gem. In a receiving core that lost both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in the same offseason, you'd think it would take a long, painful rebuild to get back on track. But what we saw in the last preseason game made it crystal clear that Seattle might have just fast-tracked that whole process. Torrey Horton, a fifth-round pick, turned his training camp hype into immediate on-field impact. 3 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown, playing like he was already part of the main game plan. But what really makes this different is the context. Horton came in with this question mark over his head because of a knee injury in his last year of college, which tanked his draft stock. Before that, though, his career at Colorado State was just insane numbers, including a 16-catch game against Colorado in 2023. Andy Behrens from The Athletic called the wide receiver a dirty steal, a phrase that tells you everything you need to know about the value Seattle might have just stumbled upon. Horton's chemistry with the quarterbacks, especially on short routes, and creating separation right on time, fits perfectly with the style that offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb is trying to build around Cooper Kupp. With the veteran stars gone, there are targets and opportunities wide open, and Horton is grabbing them with a maturity that just screams anything but rookie. For a veteran fan, you can't help but remember other draft day bargains who became absolute studs, from Doug Baldwin to Jermaine Kearse. The difference is, Horton is walking into an offense that's in total transformation, with a bunch of new pieces all trying to sync up at once. That creates risk. The chemistry is still baking, but it also creates explosive potential if it all clicks fast. What's interesting is how Horton could be used to stretch the field and open up running lanes, which is vital to take pressure off Sam Darnold and maybe off those special Jalen Milroe packages. That balance between a deep threat and a solid ground game could be the key to keeping defenses honest and less aggressive against our O-line. But for that to work consistently, you need stability in the backfield, and that's exactly where the biggest cloud of uncertainty is hanging. Kenneth Walker III, a running back with over 2,400 career yards, might be on his way out. If that happens, the entire way Seattle runs its offense changes radically, and maybe the pressure on a guy like Horton gets even heavier. The big question is, are we about to see another painful cut in this offensive overhaul, or is there a deeper strategy behind this potential move? Even talking about trading Kenneth Walker III feels like a gut punch for anyone who follows the Seahawks closely. At 24 years old, he's already run for over 2,500 yards and scored 24 touchdowns since 2022. But the NFL is a brutal business, and the reality in Seattle right now is a mini rebuild on offense. Losing Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett was already an earthquake. Now, Bleacher Report is suggesting that Walker could be the next piece to go, not because he isn't talented, but because of a dangerous mix, a history of injuries, a contract that's about to be up, and zero talks of an extension. Zach Charbonnet, healthy and reliable, looks like the natural successor. And the analysis is just cold, hard logic. Charbonnet has played in 33 of the last 34 games since he joined the league and brings a consistency that Walker, because of the injuries, just hasn't been able to maintain. On top of that, drafting Damian Martinez shows the front office is already thinking about the future of the position. When he's healthy, Walker is a game breaker, a human highlight reel who can win games by himself. Every fan remembers those decisive runs that set Lumen Field on fire. But his trade value might be at its absolute peak right now before it starts to drop. Trading him now could bring back picks and clear the way for a younger, more durable backfield. The dilemma is that losing Walker also means giving up an explosive home run threat, something that, when paired with a rookie like Torrey Horton and the versatility of Jalen Milroe, could make this offense so much more unpredictable. Then there's the emotional side. The 12th man gets attached fast to players who leave it all on the field, and that is Walker to a T. A trade would split the fan base. Half would see it as a smart, forward-thinking move, while the other half would see it as a mistake, dismantling yet another piece of the offense during a transition. If it happens, it paves the way for Charbonnet to take over completely, with Martinez getting reps, which could set up the backfield for 2026 and beyond. And the impact of that goes way past the field. It's about identity, about what the Seahawks want to be in this new era. Are we going to be a team that banks on balance, using young talent to build for the long haul, or are we going to chase immediate wins no matter the cost? These aren't just front office decisions. They are statements about who we are and where we're trying to go. And looking at everything we've talked about today, a rejuvenated defense, an offense in flux, some seriously bold bets, the conclusion is anything but simple. But I think I'm starting to see what it all means for our future. If you haven't figured it out by now, something is happening in Seattle, and it's happening fast. We're moving pieces like a chess master who already sees the checkmate 5 moves ahead. The defense is starting to have that legendary feel again. The offense is getting unexpected new weapons, and even untouchable names might be sacrificed to speed up this turnaround. This isn't some shy, timid rebuild. This is an all-out assault on the future. When the season kicks off, nobody is going to be ready for the Seahawks team that takes that field. The only question is, are you? Sound off in the comments, 12s, because this storm has already started to form.